welcome to today's webinar, Market Matters. Thank you for taking time out to be here today. We'll be running our very popular question and answer session live at the end of the webinar. So we have enabled the question feature. It's on the right-hand side of your screen. And if you have any questions, just pop them right in there and we will ask them towards the end. If you missed anything during this webinar, don't worry. As always, we are recording and we will be publishing the video to our North Metro SBDC YouTube channel later today. I will also send you an email link when that video is available. My name is John Hovey. I'm the Special Projects Consultant here at North Metro, and I have with me today Adrian Hovey, some relation, who's a lead consultant with us here at North Metro SBDC. He's also a financial advisor with Edward Jones. He really knows his way around small business development, and he's a personal finance expert, of course. He's got an Ivy League MBA. He's occasionally mistaken for an economist. I'm thrilled to have him here today, and we're going to try to educate you entrepreneurs out there about how finance and the market affect your business goals. I know Adrian's excited too. And listen, I want to make sure that you stick around through the entire presentation today to the end. It's only 20 minutes. At the end, we will be revealing Adrian's new guide that I've created for him this week, and it's called TACWIZ, and that stands for Technical Analysis Quick Wealth Scheme. It's a new profit scheme you're not going to want to miss. TACWIZ, it's really hot. So I'm going to turn it over to Adrian here, and as always, we're going to be looking at the following three questions. Number one, what's been happening in the market recently? Number two, what does it mean to you, the small business owner? Finally, we'll be revealing that TACWIZ, Technical Analysis Quick Wealth Scheme. I cannot wait to make that money. All right, Adrian, take it away.
Thank you, John. I appreciate the intro. Happy to be here. You guys keep asking me back, so it must be of value to somebody. So I really do appreciate it.
I love these chats. Yeah, I'm learning a lot as we go through this.
Good. I enjoy it. Obviously I do it for a living, but I think doing it with the SBDC helps me connect it to small business and helps me further that mission of the SBDC to be part of the community at large. So thank you all for being here. I'm actually pretty excited about this week's market update. There's some topics in here that you all know are near and dear to my heart. So let's jump right into it. I'm gonna go ahead and throw my screen up so you guys can see some of these slides that I've got. And as always, I cannot, when you ask me questions, I can't answer any specific questions that are your own personal situation. But if it's something that we talk about, or do you have a broad kind of general question, please ask, and I'll do my best to answer those. So theme for this week is the good, bad, and volatility, right? So I don't know how many old Clint Eastwood fans there are out there, but
Adrian, I'm not seeing your slides yet, buddy.
Okay, hang on. Are we good there?
There we go. There we go.
All right. Excellent. Sorry about that. So let's talk about big picture for a moment. So retail sales are up. I think everybody has heard that. Jobless claims declined for the 11th straight week in a row. That's pretty huge. So that means, yeah, we took a big hit from unemployment at the start of COVID, but each successive week we've seen more and more people getting back into the job market, which is excellent. That's usually a really good sign that consumer confidence is returning, and thus a good indicator that maybe some good times are coming for the economy. So we're still seeing the Fed actively engaged in trying to relieve some of the pressure in the credit market. And on the negative side, some states, I think Texas, maybe Florida, have reported some increases in COVID cases. So that's causing some stress. That's causing a little bit of fear that maybe we'll see a resurgence in COVID and maybe have another shutdown full on later on in the year. So obviously the markets are going to be sensitive to that, but the long-term outlook that we're seeing is a lot of good positive signs. So let's talk about the labor market for a moment, because again, it's a big driver for the economy as a whole. And what we're seeing right now is that consumers are consuming again, right? They're out there, we're buying stuff, we're taking part in things we used to do pre-COVID. So all that's being reflected in some of this consumer spending, and the jobless claims, like I mentioned on the previous slide, are down. So you can see on this graph, you're looking at basically wage growth versus unemployment. And wage growth is the yellow line at the bottom, and unemployment's the green line. So you can see at the beginning of COVID right there in 2020, huge spike in unemployment, and we're still digging our way out of there. But that's good news right now, is that we're seeing people coming back to work. So John, any questions or anything jump out on you in this graph here?
I mean, I'm just looking at it. So the wage growth, it does look rather slow. I mean, it's still what, 4% maybe for 2020, but then that huge spike, as you pointed out. You know what? Going historically, it doesn't look like the unemployment ever spikes down as fast as it spikes up. So it does look like maybe it'll be a little bit of a slower trend for that unemployment to come back to normal numbers. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's typically a casual recovery. And there are many reasons for that, and there's a lot of debate and discussion about what that number, the unemployment rate, actually incorporates. Does it mean people who have just completely given up on a job, or what? So we don't know all the particulars and the details about this particular, what goes into that number. But looking at trends as a whole, you see when these gray bars on the chart there, if you guys can see those gray bars, those represent recessions that we've been in. So you can see most of the time those recessions are accompanied by a big spike in unemployment, and then with that gradual decline in between. So that's kind of where we are. It would be unusual, I guess, looking back historically, if everybody went back to work immediately. But John, as you pointed out, we're looking at that gradual recovery. All right, not bad. So coupled with the, go ahead.
I don't like bad. I like good.
Bad is not good. So this graph is a little more complicated. I'll explain it really briefly. On the left side, that's the earnings per share chart. So that's basically an average of the earnings per share of stocks listed on the S&P 500. On the right side is the value of the S&P 500. And then what you're looking at is how the earnings per share has fluctuated and grown over time. And underneath of that, the gray shaded area, the earnings per share is the gray shaded area at the bottom there. And then the estimate of earnings per share is the green area on the right. And as you see the S&P 500's price change in yellow, it tracks very closely with earnings per share. So what we're doing right now is seeing that earnings per share is going to be a little bit uncertain, and over time, a little bit of the decline that we're seeing now is a forecast, and the expectation is that the S&P 500 will follow that trend down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I understand. And so it looks like, earnings not looking so optimistic through the autumn, but then rebounding maybe next year. Is what we're predicting with the green.
Correct. We're actually thinking maybe we see growth rates of 0 or even below 0, which is definitely going to probably have a corresponding effect to the value of the S&P 500. So that's kind of all this to say that the recovery is going to be a little uneven. I mean, if you look at the dips in this chart, you can see 2009, you can see the tech bubble burst there in the 99, kind of 2000 era. So big declines in the value with a corresponding decline in earnings per share. So that's kind of what we're watching right now, and is resulting in this unevenness, as it were, some of this volatility. So we know about volatility. We know that we looked at a different version of this chart last week. Basically, it's saying that the rebounds from a bear market are often swift and strong and occur very quickly after the actual bear market itself. So why is this important? Why does this matter? We're starting to get that second question you brought up in the beginning, John, which is, why does this matter to my business? Why do I care? And the reality is, a lot of declines in the market cause a visceral emotional reaction with people. And so when that happens, they make an emotional decision, like chasing performance or things like that. And that's a reaction that's meant to avoid risk, but in fact introduces a whole nother risk, which is that you're damaging a long-term plan. So with your business, each of you who have a business and operate it understand that there's volatility and cycles in your own business, right? So it's hard to divorce your thinking from that, but I encourage you to understand that it is volatile, it is cyclical, And, rather than making an emotional choice, stick to a plan or have something in place that helps you ride out this volatility and helps you understand that while things may be this way now, they're likely to recover. Does that make sense?
Makes great sense. Yep.
And I want to further that idea with this concept that, again, emotional decision making, it's hard to avoid. And I'm not saying that I'm an expert in this or perfect at it or anything, but the idea, if you look here on this chart, this is kind of how ups and downs in the market make us feel, right? When times are good, we're feeling optimistic. There's a euphoria. Like my portfolio is great. My business is doing great. And then all of a sudden things take a little bit of a turn and, your mindset changes, right? And fear kind of takes over. And so to avoid fear, all kinds of interesting things happen. We've all been there. We've all had that fear. We've all surrendered a little bit to the times and said, hey, whatever's happening is happening. Let's just get through it. And what helps you get through it, what helps you stay positive is sticking to a plan, right? Is understanding that these cycles happen. This graph, go back a couple slides, look at how many times there have been a bear market, right? It's going to happen again, probably, in the next 10 years. And the idea is that a long-term plan for your business helps your business weather these times, right? And a long-term plan for your own personal finance helps you weather these times. Does that make sense, John?
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect illustration of what we're seeing right now going on is people in that fear stage. And, if you find yourself in that fear stage, wow, reach out, phone a friend, and, don't make panic decisions is what we're saying. Get some solid advice and recognize that everybody else is feeling this too. You're not alone, but you don't need to make any rash decisions. At the same time, when you're in the optimism stage, take advantage of that time to make sure that your ducks are in order, because like you said, we know that there's going to be swings. So even when things are good, it's just a matter of time. It's cyclical, it goes around.
And what the last thing I'll say on that is what tends to happen is people, when you're in a stable bull market for 10 years like we were, right? You start to look at that as the norm, and it's it's great. We love it. It's a good norm to be in. It's a wonderful 10-year stretch we had, but it's not the norm. So knowing in the back of your mind that even if things are good when you're in that euphoria stage, something is going to happen to push you back, to push the market back down at some point. And it's unpredictable. Nobody knows what that's going to be, but it's a smart thing to plan on it being there. So, when you look back at your own business performance and you had like 10 straight years of excellent business in a row, and then all of a sudden you had a bad year, that doesn't necessarily mean you did something wrong. That doesn't necessarily mean, your business is over. It just means that something happened, that you're in a cycle where you have to figure out how to get out of it, but it doesn't necessarily damage your long-term plan. So keep that in mind, and maybe those are good conversations to have with your staff, with your board, with the key people who help you plan your business. Is how do I position myself to ride out these ups and downs, both in the market and my business as a whole? So that's kind of that's what I want to talk about today. We can revisit the topic of emotions as much as you guys want. I think it's really important to understand how crucial those emotions are to decision making and to the way the markets behave, and also to your own success or failure. So I'll turn it over to you guys. Let me know what questions you have, and we'll talk about them. And John, whatever's on your mind.
You bet. Wise words. Well, thank you for that presentation. And I wanted to share something with you that I read in the financial headlines this week that I just thought was so unusual. And yeah, I'd love to get your take on it. So the article says, Hertz, the rent-a-car. And now for something completely worthless. Check this out. It says, typically when a company offers stock to the public, it emphasizes the positive. Fundamentally, the pitch is buy us and prosper, maybe even get rich. That's what I'm all about. But Hertz Global Holdings put out a prospectus this week They projected a different outcome. They said, gamble on us and be prepared to end up with something worthless. Their prospectus actually used the word worthless 9 times. It says here in the article, Hertz, you see, is bankrupt, but it said it hoped to sell $500 million in shares, maybe even $1 billion in shares anyway. And the columnist comments that, for sheer audacity, this move takes, it says, takes my breath away. So what is this move? What are they trying to do? They're in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and they're still doing a stock push for $500 million. What's going on with that?
Good question. I don't know. But it sends a message, right? The message I see from that is, here's a company that is confident in their product, right? Like pre-COVID, people were renting cars left and right. So COVID happens, and is there uncertainty? Of course. Are people traveling as much right now? No. Will it take a while for people to travel again? Of course it will. But the value proposition of having a car available, at your destination has not changed. Like, it's still a fundamentally sound value proposition. And I think what this shows more than anything is just, here's a business that has confidence in its model, right? They understand the value that they bring to consumers. They know that it may take some time. They're bankrupt right now, and they're not talking about the worth right now. They're talking about the long-term plan for Hertz, which is certainly not to fold up shop, take all those places down at the airport, and not rent cars to people anymore. So, this is relevant to everybody because, you can get through bad times, and if your value proposition is strong, then it's going to work, right? If your customers have told you, yes, I value the service, it works for me, I love it, I want to be your customer, then you've got something there. And when I work with folks through the SBDC and we build these business plans, and we're at that nascent startup phase, it's critical to really sit down and refine that value proposition as articulately and as simply as you can, right? That's what I encourage each and every one of you to do right now, is push aside all the stuff, all the emotion, all the things you're reading about, write some value proposition down, show it to your significant other, show it to your business partners, and really make sure it makes sense and you're focused on it and you understand what it means right now, what it's going to mean in 6 months, and what it's going to mean in 6 years. Very important.
There you go. Because who knows better about your business than you? You got to bet on yourself.
No, your customer does. Your customer does. Your customer knows better than you. There's a little nugget from me. Your customers will tell you, what they want. Like, your value proposition, and your customers are going to reflect that back to you and tell you whether or not that's actually the value they're getting.
Awesome. Well, speaking of customers, we've got a few questions this week. Are you ready to take some questions in our segment, Readers Write In?
I was born ready.
All right. That is fantastic. So let's see here. I'll pull them up and Yeah, great. This first one comes from Sarah, and Sarah asks, Dear Adrian, my portfolio lost 30% in April. How do I know that this time will be different? I don't want to panic, but ... What do you say to that?
To Sarah, I empathize. A lot of people, at the end of March there took pretty good hits. And I don't, this is verging on that. I can't really answer your specific question directly, but to people who this happened to, or they experienced this, the idea, what I keep hearing is that, how do I know it's going to be the same? How do I know that everything feels different this time? It feels different. And I think everybody says that when something like this happens. It always feels different. It's always different from the last time. It is, but it has happened before. And as an investor, as a business owner, like let's start with as business owners first. As business owners, we all believe in our business, right? We believe that there will be good years, we will succeed. If we did not believe these things, we would not be in business. We'd do something else, right? that's when you would you would fold up. So the idea that your conviction, your belief in your own business says, yeah, whatever the obstacle, I'm going to overcome it. And that optimism, from a personal investing side, we tend to believe as investors that the market as a whole is going to continue to go up and to the right. We don't know this for sure. There's no crystal ball that says it's going to, but that sentiment is there. And I believe it personally, so I invest in the market. I'm not going to do that if I think the market's not going to recover. So I think it's hard to say, Sarah. I don't really know how to directly answer your question and give you the confidence maybe that you're looking for. But to me, it's about optimism and what do we believe is going to happen as investors. And if we think that there was value in Pepsi before COVID, and there will continue to be value in Pepsi, buy some Pepsi, right? Like that's the idea. Is we think that the market will continue to improve, will continue to grow. Companies will go out there and do great things, and we can invest in that, and we can all take part in that up and to the right as personal investors and as business owners ourselves.
Comprehensive. All right, thank you, Sarah. We have one more question. This one comes from Jose, and Jose says, "Dear Adrian, I took out all my investments in March at the start of COVID. I am not confident that COVID has finished with the market because my business is still not recovered. What should I do?" And obviously you can't give detailed financial advice. I understand that, but I do understand that a lot of folks have made this move. Any general advice?
I have heard this a lot. It does come up quite a bit. So, I want to refer back to a couple of those slides that we reviewed earlier, and it's I think we've endeavored to show over these last couple shows that timing the market is not really a sound strategy, just to begin with, right? And some of the reasons for that are, good days tend to happen right after really bad days. So if you remove your investment from that because of a bad day, you are at risk of missing the good day. And despite however you handle that, your mindset has shifted from a long-term investing mindset to a very focused, like emotional, visceral reaction mindset. And that's what I would encourage you to avoid, just in general, especially with your business. Like if you're making emotional, rash decisions based on your business when things get tough, how can you expect your long-term business plan to stay intact? So there's a couple ways, just very generally, investors tend to overcome that with themselves. And one of them is this idea of just consistent investing, right? So that you're putting money in when the times are down, you're putting money in when times are good. And that strategy is generally referred to as dollar cost averaging. But the idea is that over time, because the market goes up and to the right, you can invest safely and hopefully do a little bit better than if you tried to time the market. And then the other thing is honestly just having a plan. And for your own business, you should have a plan that you refer to every quarter or more frequently. And when the down times happen with your business, you're looking at your plan, you're talking with your staff and your board and the people that matter to you and help you make decisions, and you're evaluating that plan, making sure it's intact and it's ready to shift when times are tough. And on the personal investing side, it's the same thing, right? If you're confused about things, if you want reassurance about the market, nobody can provide that for you, but you can get a plan. So get with a financial professional, talk with the people who help you with those sorts of things, give me a call and we can help you build a plan that in the same way your business plan protects your business, your own personal finance plan protects your personal finances. And we can show you how it can flex through things like COVID or other recessions that are bound to happen. So again, it's the value of the plan and being able to have something to anchor your thoughts and balance out that that irrational emotional roller coaster that we're all on right now.
Yeah, jump off that. And I would add to Jose too, give us a call at the SBDC. And if your business is not yet recovered or not recovering on target with your business goals, then one of our consultants can help you with that as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, great. Readers, thank you for writing in those questions. That's great. I am excited, folks. It's that time again that you're all waiting for. I got to get my horn ready. Yep. There we go. It's Adrian's new guide, the TAC Whiz, the Technical Analysis Quick Wealth Scheme. You know, Adrian, and I do really appreciate these lessons from you each week. I take it seriously when there's a gap in my learning. So I've been doing a lot of research on my own, lots of research. And I put together this program for you, this TAC Whiz, based on some of my research. And would it be all right with you if I just share a little of my research with you, my inspiration for this Technical Analysis Quick Wealth Scheme?
Fire away.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen here, and yeah, I think you're gonna really see where I'm coming from, and you're gonna get on board. We're gonna have a way for our viewers to make some money fast here. All right, are you seeing my screen?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay, great. So this research that I did, this video is called Figuring Out Money, and just check out the wisdom this guy is sharing.
The candle wick. You got to be very careful for these, because when a loaded gun forms, it is letting you know that there are going to be some big price movements taking place. It's going to fire its bullets off here soon. The stock market is telling us right now through this picture. Everybody knows the loaded gun pattern. It's the most basic concept in technical analysis. So when it gets shot and when it shoots out, I don't know how long the barrel is per se, but when it shoots, it's either going to shoot up to the sky or it's going to shoot down to the ground. But man, it's going to be one wild.
That's just so powerful. You know, you can see how scientific this research is that I've been doing, and I just think that technical analysis, timing the market, and you know, those candle wicks, there's got to be a quick wealth scheme here.
Yeah, likely. Likely there is quick wealth for people who click on and need ad revenue from YouTube, I'm guessing. Less quick wealth for the poor soul trying to understand the loaded gun pattern there. You know,
That's the quick wealth scheme.
I'm not sold on it. I don't know. I also heard that you could, you know, hit those slot machines that are on the end of the row, the ones that are close to the aisle, because they pay out more frequently. You know, I've heard that one. Another possible scheme for next week, but no, I you know, I think it's fun for people to go look at these charts and graphs and things, but I don't plan that way, and I encourage people to have a plan as opposed to a quick wealth scheme in general, right? I don't think there's a really sound way to do it. I mean, can you make money on some of these ideas? Yeah, probably. You know, I don't know. But I, you know, that's not what planning is. Planning, you know, when you're trying to build a table in your garage, right? Your plan is going to help you put the legs on at the right time and varnish it at the right time and finish it at the right time. So at the end of this process, you have a table that you can use. And when you put together a plan for your business, right, you're going to incorporate all this important stuff, and it's going to help you get financing. It's going to help you execute, you know, your growth plan and things like that, and help correct when things don't go according to plan, give you a baseline, all these wonderful things a plan does. And you know, you might look at some of these plans and say, well, you know, I'm looking at 25 years till I can retire, and you know, I'm going to have all this money at 25. What does that even mean? I mean, I don't know. It's a plan that you can get around and that you can save for, and you can have, you know, have something to measure against. All of these things, it's very valuable, and I think that is a safe and sound recommendation anybody can get behind. The loaded gun pattern, I don't see it. I don't know. I don't look at loaded gun patterns. I don't think that there's really anything there that a person can latch onto and say this is a good plan. If you have to sell somebody on it, I think it's a bad idea.
All right. Well, I'll continue with my research despite this sound advice that you continue to dispense. Folks, that's about all the time we have this week for Market Matters. I really do appreciate your guidance here, Adrian, as a financial consultant, keeping my feet on the ground, and as a business consultant for North Metro SBDC. So thank you for that. Folks, I do want to encourage you to check out our website, northmetrosbdc.com. That's a Small Business Development Center. You can book a consulting appointment directly from our website with Adrian or any of our other experts in the fields of legal, marketing, accounting, startups, manufacturing, so on. It's an amazing resource, northmetrosbdc.com. We will be sending out a video of this webinar, and we'll be repeating our wisdom and advice next week on Market Matters. Feel free to reach out to Adrian directly with your financial questions between now and then. Last words, Adrian?
No, just like John said, even if you're just thinking about starting a business, now's a great time to talk it over with somebody. And the sessions at North Metro don't cost anything, and they're confidential, and we're here to help you guys, and there's no angle in it for us over there other than to help the community and help you, start a business of your dreams. So talk to us. I have fascinating conversations every week with folks starting businesses. I love it. The consultants over there, we all love it, and we believe in it. And your passion comes through to us, and we hopefully want our passion to come through to you guys too. So give us a call, and we will help you start, talk it out, get a plan in place, whatever you need.
You betcha. All right, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time on Market Matters.
Thanks, John.